What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of East Got Game, where we give you the X's, the O's, and the insights of the NBL 1 East. Thanks for joining us tonight live on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at East Got Game. Or you can continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms. On this week's episode, we'll be covering the grand finals that were in Penrith over the weekend and also looking forward to the national finals in Canberra. But before we get into the headlines, let's do a quick check-in. Lockie, how are you feeling after such a massive weekend?
Massive is right. I mean, I went out on Friday afternoon to watch some JPL finals, watch the Sutherland under-16 girls in their game and milled about, watched Illawarra and Penrith girls go to overtime. Had to catch the Norths Comets under-18s with players like Rebecca Donnelly and Liv Hastings and Malki Halwala from Comets. So it was real fun. And then, of course, grand final day on the Saturday and JPL as well beforehand. And then, calling the Manly versus COE grand final with Lockie Beavis was amazing. And then watch the men's grand final from the bar right behind the Canberra bench with James and Garron. And had a quick chat to Cal Bruton, who was obviously there supporting both sides because his boys are on each team. An absolutely amazing day. Couldn't have wished for anything better.
That sounds absolutely delightful and wholesome and very exciting indeed. And one of those aforementioned people you were watching the men's game with is going to join us very, very soon. Let's just quickly go through some of the headlines from around the East from the grand finals rounds. What do you got for us?
Well, what else is there to talk about? But the two grand finals and Manly Warringah were absolutely ruthless in getting the win over the Centre of Excellence in the women's grand final. Won at 89-61, but it was 51-24 at halftime. Was all done in the first quarter. It was 24-7. I think Taylor Wirtz was 5 of 7 from 3-point range at one stage. They just couldn't miss in the early stages, the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. And it was just, as I said last week, cold, calculated ball movement. They just always got the better shots and, the better looks. And, they actually turned the ball over 19 times to 13, but they offset that so well with how good the looks they get are. It was, as I said, it was over early, but I think the COE can still be very, very proud of their efforts throughout the season. We talked a bit about, they got some players on rest, some players played a lot, ins, outs, Duckich not being there, and they, and to be fair, they were in pretty average form coming into finals and put it together at the right time, but they just ran into a team that nobody was beating on that day.
And we've got just a quick comment on our Instagram live video from SJ from Love of the Game saying, Lockie, heard your call after. Well done, man. You killed it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, SJ. Yeah, Lockie Beavis, he just made the call so easy, honestly. I think all three grand finals I've done, I've been lucky to get to call with great people. And that extends to when I did Nationals in 2022. I think so much of being a good commentator is how well you work with other people. And in Lockie, Hamish, yourself, Squin, twice, both at Nationals, Matt Hickey, Josh Morosky down at Nationals. They're from South and North. Having a great co-commentator is half the battle sometimes.
Yes, and I can tell you a bit more about that maybe off air, what happens when you don't have great co-commentators sometimes. But that might be a podcast for another time. But to be fair, I've also had nothing but good commentators. But what's this about you crying during commentary? This is a vulnerable moment for you.
So it's this person's fault.
Delaney.
Yes. So 40 seconds to go or so. They empty the bench, of course, Manly Warringah. They had 4 players who hadn't seen the court. So Neve Smith, Gabby Van Dyke, Tanika Parker, and Freya Bykirk hadn't gone on the court. So they emptied the bench. And Alex Delaney comes off court, and our commentary position is actually slightly to the left of center. So camera position right in front, and then we're off to the left. So we're closer to the home bench. And I'm close enough to Alex Delaney to see that she is crying. And I was just gone straight away. I was actually saying, I said on the call, if I look at Alex Delaney for too long, I'm going to start crying. And before I'd finished my sentence, there were tears.
Oh, just couldn't help it. That's really, really nice. What a nice sentiment. I mean, you've been following players like Alex Delaney, Kim Dickinson as well for so long, and to see them finally get a chip, that must have felt really special.
Yeah, it really was. And talking to Brian Delaney after the game about, how long I've been following Alex, he comes over, puts an arm around me, and just like, I'm not a... Okay, everyone's be like, look, he's a Manly fan. He loves Manly now. It's like, I'm not a Manly fan. I'm a fan of this Manly team.
The dynasty.
I think that it's the people I know in this Manly team. And that's what people say. You're a fan of every club. And it's like, well, I'm a fan of people for the most part. So, yeah.
I think that's fair. Fair. And it sounds like the men's final was quite exciting as well, with Canberra securing their second championship in 4 years.
It was very exciting. It was definitely a lot closer than the men's game. The big names came to play. Todd Blanchfield, obviously looking to lead the Illawarra Hawks to a championship. He hit 5 of 16 from 3-point range, but I feel like all 5 were incredibly tough looks. 10 of 11 from the line, but Glenn Morrison, he was a man who made a one-line speech as the losing captain at Penrith last year, and he came out and played like a man who did not want to have to do that again.
Well, that sounds really like, it looks like a really great day. It looked like all our favorite people were there. So we may have to talk to some people who are right there in those championship winning sides a little bit later in the show. And just before we get on to our first very, very special guest for this grand final episode, there was news that broke today that the reigning NBL 1 national champions, the Knox Raiders, have withdrawn from the national finals, sending the Illawarra Hawks into bat instead, as they were the minor premiers of NBL 1 East. So it looks like there's going to be 4 NBL talents missing from that Knox team, hence why they probably withdrew. But Jason Cadee did say something interesting in our episode last week, Lockie.
He did. He mentioned, that this whole thing with, NBL players having to leave before nationals, it can often make it about just who's got their full roster there. Or if you're Canberra and you don't have NBL players, if you can make it with a roster that doesn't have NBL players, you can often be in the box seat. And, we saw that with Rockingham in 2022. They had some guys who had just finished NBL and probably still NBL caliber players, but they weren't playing in the NBL at the time, so they were able to play. Frankston, they had Lockie Barker and Iggy Hadziomerovic, who guys who, were at or around the NBL, but not quite there at the time. I think Barker probably picked up a DP spot or an end of the bench spot by the end of the season, because he always does. But, these were teams that had guys that were right on the cusp. And, we want to see the NBL guys at nationals. So, can we just get it a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier? Would be very nice.
We got to get something together. I was talking to Sammy Mack today, coach of Albury Wodonga Bandits, about when could we actually put nationals. I thought maybe in a fever break window or a long weekend, like the June long weekend, perhaps when no one's actually playing. Then we also threw around the idea of condensing some of the conferences so everyone has a uniform amount of teams, can start at the same time and can end a little bit earlier, but way above our pay grade.
I mean, you don't need a uniform amount of teams, just a uniform amount of games. If a 12-team comp plays a couple of teams twice and a 16-team comp just plays everyone once. South, of course, with their, I think, 19 or 20 teams, that's very tough. But I mean, no schedule is uniform at the moment. And apart from North starting a month later, everything starts and ends at around the same time already. So maybe you just pick out 1 or 2 games or weekends from the season and just condense it.
Yeah, yes. There's lots to think about, I guess, in preparation for future NBL 1 nationals. Question mark around whether Illawarra will have their full squad, but he's hoping because Illawarra Hawks NBL team, their assistant coach, Joel Carlu, was the coach of the Mackay Meteors last season, who also went to NBL 1 Nationals final. So hopefully he's in favour of his team still playing the Nats.
Well, fingers crossed, and I think it'll help. The connection that they all have, the two entities have, and also the fact that, I know, like, there's 2 schools to thinking about. It's like you could say that, Kobe McDowell-White, Todd Blanchfield may not get a whole lot of minutes playing in the NBL this year, but still, if they're part of the squad, you still don't want them to get injured because it still compounds any issue that you might have with injuries down the line. Suddenly, if a star player gets injured, then your next man up is not there, kind of thing. So you can say, oh, they're not likely to be, 30-minute a night players. It's okay to send them to NBL 1, but I'm sure the clubs aren't thinking that way. They're, just as, nervous about injuries as if it was, Tyler Harvey.
Well, we had Sam McDonald. Sammy McDaniels. Jeez Louise, getting my Sammy Max messed up. Sammy McDaniels playing for the Brisbane Capitals here in NBL 1 North. He had a slight injury at the back end of the season, and Brisbane Bullets pulled the pin, and he didn't play any of the final series. I don't think he played the last round or last 2 rounds, didn't play any of the final series because last season he did hurt himself in the NBL 1 finals and he was unable to play for the NBL season. So this time they're like, nah.
Yeah. Once bitten, twice shy.
That's right. So let's see. It'll be interesting to see what teams and what rosters are going to be arriving to nationals, but we can talk a little bit more about that. Let's get back on track, though, talking about the weekend that was the NBL 1 East finals. We have a very, very special guest patiently waiting in the wings. I can see they've even got a special singlet in the background ready to go. I'm keen to hear the story of that. This is someone that no one in the league will be a stranger to. They are one of the many faces of NBL 1 East, providing free content for everyone, doing the hard work behind the commentary box as well, covering 4 different clubs in a season, which to me just seems impossible. It is none other than James from 2 Feet in the Paint. Hello, friend.
History in the making. It's great to be here. I've a long-time listener, first-time guest, so I haven't missed an episode since season 1, so it feels a bit surreal. I'm actually a little nervous to be here.
Oh mate, it is borderline insulting that we haven't had you on the show earlier than we have now. So we appreciate your patience waiting to jump on today and for your call up to be a guest on EGG.
No, it's an honor. And as I said to you in that message, there's hundreds of more interesting guests around the basketball community in New South Wales. So look, I'm just happy I finally got my call up, and keen to get into it after a weekend that I feel like I'm still recovering from.
Yeah, tell us all about it. Lockie mentioned earlier that you and Garen and Lockie watched the men's final together. What was the whole finals day like from your perspective?
Oh, it was a bit interesting walking into the women's final because with COE playing, there wasn't really a crowd for them. But I got to say, the Manly fans did a really good job of filling up the grandstand nonetheless. We know Manly fans, no offense, don't like to get out of the peninsula that much. We know that. I'm sorry, I'm a Bears commentator, so I'm a little biased there. But it was a bit of a strange atmosphere for that one because there's also junior, as Lockie said, junior finals going on at the same time. So I actually got lost trying to get my way into Penrith Stadium, which is a bit strange because I'm the Penrith commentator this year. So I got a bit caught up and then was watching games. Oh, damn, I've missed a quarter here. Also, parking was a nightmare. But on the positives, though, the atmosphere was off the chain from those Manly fans. And I remember 2 years ago, they brought it at USyd. They brought it this year as well. And you could just see the relief. I think Lockie's right to shed a tear or two. The relief on the players, but also the fans' faces. Nate Kerwin as well. They really deserve it. The Manly girls team. They've been waiting 4 years for it, and it was just great to see them get over the edge finally. So there's a big sense of relief, and boy, did they put on a great performance as well. That was just Manly basketball 101. The ball movement, the defense, the cutting, the shooting. It was like a perfect display of Manly's basketball. Might have been so good for not just NBL 1 era, but also in Waratah before. And then as the sun went down a bit, the men's game came on, and the atmosphere really ramped up. It was intense in there. Canberra fans, Illawarra fans, they made the trip, and it was about 50-50 split in the crowd as well. And the atmosphere was just off the chain in there. Like, there was no room to move. Both fan groups are parochial, and I think you get that from your teams that are kind of one-town teams. No offense to the Sydney squads. Again, maybe I'm just used to Bears games where sometimes the grandstand's not as full. But I know for the I guess country teams, I know Canberra's not much of a country team, but the fans just brought it, and that game just lived up to expectation. It was just tit for tat. And it was getting down to the last few minutes. Well, someone's got to win it. Was praying for overtime just so me and Lockie could spend a little more time together at the bar. But ultimately, Canberra just edged it out in the end. And again, you could just see the relief on their faces. I mean, of course, Illawarra was sad, but Canberra, I think, after the disappointment last year, like they were kind of bounce back and put on a great display as well. And a big shout out to Derek Emelafonwu as well. We've had huge raps on him for a couple of years now, and he stepped up big time.
Yeah, that's what I love about finals time too. Like, Derek's been an integral part of the team this season, but just found something extra to get the Gunners over the line in this particular occasion. And he was crowned finals MVP, was he not? What was his stat line? He had 28 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal, and he shot at 55% overall. That did give him the MVP honors. Am I right, James?
Yeah, he did. He got the MVP honors, rightfully so. Of course, Glenn Morrison probably could have been up there, but we interviewed Glenn after the game, and he said Derek really deserves it. He's flown under the radar a lot and is underrated in a lot of people's books. So again, just another weapon on the Canberra side that they can use. And I've always said that the NBL 1 is always a game of depth. You can have a great starting 5, but if you don't have the people to back that up as the season goes along, you end up falling off. And even in times in the finals, those kind of players can really step up. And yeah, it was really, really happy for Derek. Again, if you want a case for an NBL team in Canberra, you just throw it on the weekend. And look, I'm sure Canberra's going to be shining for the Nationals. It's going to be shining for the Blitz or the preseason tournament in NBL. So I got to say, Canberra made a really good case for the NBL, but that's probably a conversation for another day.
A conversation that we've had more than a couple of times on this very podcast.
Yeah, I know. Hey, look, we're just hoping to get gigs when they eventually get back in the comp.
Yeah, so what was it like for you this season, James, having to cover commentary for so many teams? I thought 2 clubs, last year you and Garen did Hornsby and North, and Lockie has been doing Sutherland and Comets. And in my mind, that would just stretch me to my absolute limit. I already personally struggle with just doing a game of the week and a Brisbane Caps game on a weekend. How did you cover 4 clubs this season?
We only did have 3. It was Penrith was the third.
3. Still 3 is a
that's
lot.
Right. Jeez. We got UBL coming up though for UNSW. So yeah, maybe that's the 4th there. Look, a very patient girlfriend, I got to say. Not many date nights happening over Saturdays, Sundays, Friday nights sometimes. I said that before the season. I'm not going to be home a lot over the weekend. But look, I think having a commentary partner like Garen, we love spending time together. We love those road trips out to Penrith. And I mean, Hornsby's closer to our houses. But, that kind of stuff, having someone to do it with, I think is what keeps you going. Because Garen and I have so much fun talking smack in the car, getting ready for the game, heading home, getting beer, getting a feed after the game. And I don't know if you can tell it from all our content is we love the East. We just love going to games. We love the atmosphere. And we're just so fortunate and thankful to Penrith and Hornsby and North for letting us do games. I mean, Spiders only, we can only do half the games. The Spiders, sorry to the Spiders fans out there, wish we could do all of them, but they accommodate us for only half the games, and Penrith got us on board this year as well, and they've been awesome. And yeah, it's very exhausting though, because I also work 5 days a week. So sometimes it gets to Monday, I'm like, oh no. What? I swear I had more time. So the weekend's normally just like 3 hours on a Sunday night where I get to lie down and relax a little bit.
I feel that, mate. I feel that. And these guys, they love the East. Like they're dropping names at the bar with me. They're on par. Like dudes can just stand around naming old sports players and have the best time. That's James, Garron, and I at the bar during the men's game.
Yeah. That's true. Garen's got the Waratah League on lock. He remembers it like it was yesterday. And yeah, I've definitely spent a little too much time preparing for commentary, editing videos, and all that kind of stuff that you just come familiar with so many players. And you also realize there's just a lot of talented players out there who don't get the recognition, which is something we try to do on 2 Feet. We try to shine a light on players that maybe don't get as much attention.
Yeah, I think Lockie and I also try and do the same with EGG. Try and shine a light on some of the players that we admire that probably don't make the headlines all the time, but are always doing the hard work and playing really well and representing East really well. And I feel like sometimes the content between 2 Feet in the Paint and EGG can sometimes complement each other, where the players that we haven't spoken to, you guys are. So then between us and Love of the Game, everyone's nearly covered.
Yeah, we got them all. We finally got a Josie Ballman interview. I'll tell you what, like we got one on the weekend, and I remember episode 1 this season. You guys had Josie on, and we're just like finally get to hear more about her, and guys like Geordie Hunter as well. His absolute character. I really enjoyed that episode. But yeah, again, it's more the unsung heroes of their teams. But people with really interesting stories, because a lot of these people aren't full-time athletes. So to find out what's going on outside of the game is makes them just as impressive when you actually watch them between the lines.
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of cool about the East as well. It is semi-pro, so you've still got people who are juggling the 9 to 5, just like the 3 of us are around commentary. They're juggling it around playing and training and traveling and stuff. So you still want to respect the people off the court as much as on the court. But yeah, what have been some of your highlights with 2 Feet in the Paint this season?
Oh wow, it really feels like a blur. It really does. Okay, I got a few actually. I think one of them actually came in Penrith earlier this year, which is a very kind of strange one that just stood out for me. And again, no offense to the Manly family, I was giving you huge raps before, but I'm going to rub something in a little bit here. There was a game between Penrith and Manly. It was maybe round 2 or 3. Where everyone coming in, I'm just like, you got Bragg, Lee, Eldridge, like Panthers have struggled a little bit in the last 2 years. No chance they get the win. And the Panthers came out, no Ben Kieran's, who's one of their star players, and they upset Manly that day, which is just incredible. And Jonah Perez, who's a player that I can't say enough good things about. Jonah Perez, really keep an eye out. I'm glad to see him getting the youth top 5 voting, or whatever it's called, this year. And they came in and they upset them. And it was just a good wake-up moment that what a lot of guests have said on this podcast is like no team can be underestimated in this league. And to see a Penrith side that out of, I think they scored a 15, they only had 1 non-Penrith junior or 2. The rest of them were all Penrith boys. I think that was a huge highlight. Flipping over to the women's game though, I've talked about a lot and gets talked about a lot in the league, but watching Jessie May Hall this year for the Spiders was ridiculous. Last year she burst onto the NBL 1 scene, and then this year we always made the joke on commentary, Lucky Specsavers is sponsoring the Spiders this year, because our eyes just could not keep up with like her darting around. She seems like a player who just like physics just doesn't really matter for her. She can jump in the passing lanes, run the fast break. There's so many games where you look down at your score sheet and you're like, whoa, what, like, are these numbers wrong? Is this updating badly? Is there an error here? Just every stat category she's filling up. But you got to believe the hype on watching Jessie May Hall. And also even just like the Spiders women's program, I got to give a big shout out to as well. They are very resilient, and they're so much fun off the court as well. You can tell they really enjoy playing together. And those two clubs as well, Penrith and Spiders, haven't done that great in the last 2 years. No offense to the people, but it's not from a lack of effort and a lack of culture in those clubs.
And I think one thing we've talked about a few times is it's easy for your teams to look good and happy, and all your social media posts when you're winning. But Hornsby, even when they're losing their women's team, their Instagrams are just filled with posts of them hanging out with each other and, just having fun together. And I think that demonstrates more of a culture than anything.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. And Nicole Hutchins makes a great cookie as well, which I think just keeps everyone really fired up as well. So, yeah.
Squin, how do we not know this?
I don't know. I haven't had the privilege of having baked goods from Hutch, but goes to prove that you don't win friends with salad. You certainly win friends with cookies.
I gotta say, the references on this podcast, sometimes you can tell we're all kind of born in a very similar era.
I don't know, man. Some of your references I've heard in the commentary in the games that we've reviewed where you and Garen have commentated, I'm like, how is James picking up some of these references? Because they are beyond his years. Like, some of them are quite deep cut where they're probably more our era than yours. And I'm always really impressed and surprised with what you come up with. Like, I'll have to pause it every 15 seconds just to write down. And then James said this bit. And then James said this bit. Like, some of your references, I'm like surprised that they seem beyond your years. But yeah, I love them. They're great.
Thank you. I've got 3 older brothers, and I love a bit of Aussie nostalgia. So that's something I always go. And we always try to put in some of that into our videos as well. And thank you for Who Dares Wins with Mike Whitney for sponsoring our women's video last week. And also Crazy Johns for sponsoring our Photographer of the Year award. That was really generous of Crazy Johns, especially in our financial position they're in.
It makes sense now when you say you've got older brothers. I'm like, these are the types of references that surprise me, because they were things that were around when I was a kid. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got like 10, 15 years on you, James. So that's why I was like, how do you know about Crazy Johns and who?
So we're going to get who are we getting sponsoring next year? Ansett? OneTel?
Yeah. Axel the Crazy Frog.
We were in talks with Hog's Breath Cafe, but then we realized that still 2 of them exist. And we actually went to one out in St. Mary's on the way home from a Penrith game. And no offense to Hog's Breath, but
I have also been to a Hog's Breath. Actually, the second ever Waratah League game I went to was at Penrith, and I went to Hog's Breath afterwards. And that was 11 years ago.
Oh boy, gosh. They're still hanging around. So yeah.
The original one that opened in Airlie Beach is still there as well. That's the OG. And Lockie Everett put in the Instagram Live Bob Jane team up, but I'm pretty sure that's still around too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got another guest who has jumped on. If that's okay. They can just sit in the green room for a couple of minutes. Now, James, we got to ask. Tell us about that jersey you've got in the background.
It's a good story.
Yeah, well, I know that every week now I'm glad that you guys actually filmed the show now, because we can see some of the niche jerseys that you two have collected over your years of fandom and playing as well. But this is a 2022 Townsville Heat NBL 1 jersey. I don't really Townsville Flames jerseys. I still don't know why Townsville has 2 different sides, but my family's originally from Townsville. And the first ever NBL game I went to was a Townsville Crocs game up at the Swamp, and players like Toddy Blanchfield were actually playing in that game, which was a full circle moment because I got to interview him this year, which was a bit surreal. I don't normally get starstruck when I interview players, but with Toddy, I was like, wow, I've been watching you for years, and I remember even as a kid trying to model my game off him a little bit, not very successfully, might I add. But Toddy, if you do one-on-one coaching, I'm happy to just shout you some Hog's Breath Cafe, soggy mushrooms for it. But yeah, so we actually custom ordered these in So yeah, it's not a real player. It's actually just the number I like and my family name on it. But it was actually the same year the Townsville women with Eliza Fabro won the North Championship, I think, that year. Which is, there you go. Something I knew Lockie would definitely know that. But
I actually commentated the Townsville Albury Wodonga women's match at Nationals.
Damn, he's done everything, folks. He's done everything. Yeah, so that's the one I got up there. So still got a very soft spot for Townsville, and we'll hope one day the Crocs can come in. But hey, the Fire are holding down the fort real well. They've been in great form for so many years now under Shannon Seabom. So and Kate Seabom now, I think, is an assistant coach up there. So there's a lot of strange connections between Townsville and the East as well. But no, it was just what got me into basketball originally when my auntie took me to a game all those years ago at the Swamp.
That's a really sweet story, and props to your auntie for taking you. Is she across all of the content that you've been creating and you're commentating and stuff? The seed that she's planted has grown.
Mum, I noticed all my aunties started following 2 Feet a couple of weeks ago, and I can just tell Mum put it in the group chat, like, look what James is doing. It's great. She does actually. She used to send us some Crocs merchandise back in the day, so I got some old valuable stuff. But yeah, they were very proud of what little we've achieved here commentating. So no, she knows, because back then I didn't even play basketball. I played cricket, but that game kind of hooked me. So yeah, she's very aware of it.
We got James O'Donoghue, one of the GOAT photographers of NBL 1, period, not just the East, jumping in on Facebook saying 2 feet in the East and East got paint. Perfect. Perfect collaboration names. Thank you, James.
James O'Donoghue took 22,000 photos on Saturday.
Wow.
My Lord.
He told me after the game, 22,000. The 30 frames a second, the old shutter was working hard.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean the photography and videography crew at Penrith was insane. It was so good, and that's another thing that actually was maybe a low key highlight of the year, has been the coverage of the league, from BNSW to the photographers and videographers has been crazy. I don't know how they do it. So some of these photographers, I'm not going to try and name any of them or all of them. You all know who you are. They've just done such a good job covering the East, and that was a huge highlight of the year. And I think the players and coaches and everyone gave us plenty to shoot. So yeah, big shout out to all the content creators and photographers and videographers.
Yeah, and James just said the 20,000 snaps he took on the weekend was between JPL finals in the morning and NBL 1 finals. And listen, James, if you need us to Venmo you some money so you can buy yourself a couple of more coffees or energy drinks to stay up editing those photos, let us know, because that's a lot of work. But I think it was you guys from 2 Feet in the I always say 2 Feet in the paint as well. 2 Feet in the paint. Who did make a really good post or something online this year, just recognizing not only the photographers, videographers of the East, but just making the point that I agree with, no bias, that the East has some of the best videographers and photographers of the league, like, period.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember even like year one. Well, I was making the joke, I think, with Aaron from Norths on Saturday, saying that the photographer for North's first ever home game was me, with my little crappy DSLR, and that was season 1, game 1, and now we have just such great coverage all over the league and so many talented players. And yeah, we did the top 5. It was really hard to narrow it down to 5, so we tried to split into 2 categories and make extra awards. But it was just a way of recognizing all these people who, hey, some of them you gotta say don't get paid as well. They do this freelance and kind of do it out of passion. So I mean, even though we don't have that big a following, I just wanted a way of just saying, like, please, like, even if you can't give these people money for what they do, like, follow, like, subscribe and share, comment, because it makes a big difference. And as I was saying just a little earlier, the players have just brought it this year. They've given us so many things to be excited about, and so many things to cover. And that's also why we did Podcast of the Year. So congratulations to making the final 6. We didn't crown an MVP.
Yeah, thank you.
We couldn't do it, but you know, Love of the Game and JMO, they do a great job. The Hawks hang out. Damien from I said I wasn't going to list anyone because I know I was going to miss people, but Lucas up at Manly as well. The more content, the better, because even if you feel like there's not an audience out there, I will be hoovering up all that information because it makes our commentary a lot better. It helps improve the commentary as well, which I think is an underrated part of it. But also there are so many things to talk about. And I think once people discover the league, who maybe are basketball fans but haven't like had a look at NBL 1 before, like they've got so many points to jump in, and the photographers, videographers, and podcasters just make the league look so good and sound so good.
And I think it stems from the fact, as you said, first Norths game, it was just you with your camera. In the first season, maybe all the freelancers and content creators were kind of filling a void that the club and the league perhaps weren't doing as well. Now the clubs and the league have stepped up, and everyone's still producing as well. So we've really got it coming from all three angles. We've got the league's doing a great job, the clubs are doing a better job, and the freelancers and content creators are still bringing it just as well as they always have, and better in a lot of cases.
Yeah, totally agree. Lockie Everett in the chat says, I wonder who organized the fabulous software to upload it all. I'm guessing that's some kind of back-end NBL 1 stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me on Iconic this year. That actually made my job so much easier. You used to have to sorry to all the photographers out there for stealing your photos. I swear I'll buy you a coffee next game. But that centralized photo system, I'd spend like twice the amount of time editing a video because I'd have to go on to Instagram and then like either screenshot or go to like a kind of shonky Instagram downloader, like bootleg website, and get it down to get those graphics for the videos we make. Having that all centralized is great. So Lockie, thank you for the platform. Thank you. And thanks for letting me in. Don't kick me out.
We got a great question here for you, James, from Love of the Game. Which player did you enjoy calling the most this season since you covered the whole league? I see no lies in that.
Oh,
you essentially did cover the whole league.
Oh, damn. This is really hard not to. Oh no. Well, I did mention Jesse Hill before, so I won't double up. I'll pick just one home player to start off with, was Carla Pittman from Norths. She elevated to a whole new level this year, and you can tell those two years in the WNBL have really developed her game. And also playing UBL as well for USyd. Everyone get around UBL if you're missing any of the actions, by the way, put that plug in. But Carla Pittman, especially when she put the shooting sleeve on, was just incredible this year. And just to see her develop from a player who 4 years ago was like kind of featuring off the bench when Norths had a lot more of a kind of established starting five, to really carrying this team, not just in point scoring, but in rebounds, assists, and seeing her develop over the years. And she's so exciting. Like when she gets that first step going baseline, I tell you what, shut the gate, it's over. Like she's so quick. And if nothing's doing, she can just pop up for three as well. So really did enjoy watching her play this season. So that's just for the Bears. But oh boy, it's really hard to pick a player from one. That's a good question, SJ. Actually, and one other player I really do enjoy to give Manly men a bit of love is Mason Bragg. And I know everyone does hype up Mason Bragg, so I won't stay in for too long, but I've never seen such a methodical point guard who can just glide around the court. Like he's the Silver Surfer, or I can't even remember what you guys called that.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
That's a good one. He's so methodical with the way he plays the game, and I don't know. I've just never really seen a point guard like that after years of following basketball. He's very dynamic on the ball, and of course, I really did enjoy watching Toddy play live and in full HD at the Bear Cave. Which is just wonderful. But, you know, we'll then extended podcast because almost go through all the plays in the league. Oh, and one last one, because this didn't actually get a whole lot of attention. Sarah Cherry played her final NBL 1 East game, or Waratah top division ABA, whatever you want to call it. I think, I could be wrong, don't shoot me on this one, but I think it was after 20 or 25 years in the top flight of New South Wales basketball. And got a chance to chat to her a little more this year, and just mad props to Sarah Cherry. I didn't get enough coverage for playing a final game in the top flight of New South Wales basketball. So it was an honor and a privilege to watch Saz Cherry from, I think she previously, like you probably helped with on, played for North, played for Hills as well when Hornsby didn't have a team. So it was an honour to be part of Saz Cherry's last game.
And
Very good.
Quicksilver.
Oh,
Very nice.
we didn't coordinate that one, but
Perfect.
I like
Perfect.
it.
And,
When you live in Cronulla, Quicksilver fills your wardrobe. The part that isn't jerseys.
yeah. And we've got to go ahead, everyone, and jump online and vote for Mason Bragg. He's down to the top 2 of the Red Bull moment of the year in NBL 1. So get online, vote for Mason Bragg, represent the East for Red Bull moment of the year. But James, before we say goodbye and bring on our next guest, let's have a 5-minute crossover with our 2 guests.
Crossover
I'm not
episode.
too sure. I'm not too sure if you could see who's waiting in the green room to jump on after you.
Oh, is it Sarah Cherry?
No.
That would have been a great crossover.
That would be hilarious. Well, think of it this way: the 3 of us in our budding commentator careers and content creator careers are all just following in the giant footsteps of arguably the GOAT of NBL and NBL 1 commentary. He's covered the Inner West Bulls. He's covered the Sydney Kings. I'm sure I wonder if he's covered the Australian Boomers at some stage too. We may as well get him on and ask. It's only Matt McQuaid.
Hey
The
guys,
goat.
hello.
He's
You're
here.
really enjoying embarrassing the crap out of me, aren't you? Just saying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
please. And I heard what you said, and it was very kind. I ain't no Damien Martin or Andrew Gaze. I don't need an award name for me, please. But I do appreciate the sentiment. And
I would love it.
your point, actually, Boomers and Opals. Once upon a time,
There you go.
Once upon a time, I was the Australian Opals media manager for a night. They played Brazil down in Wollongong at the Sandpit. And it was my job to manage all the interview requests for primarily Penny Taylor and LJ, who are both lovely people, obviously. So that's one of my connections to the Opals, and I have called Boomers games as well. Both here and overseas.
Lockie Everett's on the Instagram live winding you up, Matt, saying, "Could you sit any further away from your camera, Matty?"
You don't want to see this face. I've got a face for radio, I've been told. So,
That's why we commentate, Lockie, because of Lockie Everett. That's why we commentate.
My little laptop. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Bloody Everett, go away. I know Mr. very well.
Now, while we're in this little commentator's corner here, momentarily, James, before we say goodbye to you, is there anything you'd like to ask the GOAT?
He already hates me because of something wasn't my fault, but anyway.
Whoop!
He knows what it is.
That's for the Patreon version. That's for the Patreon version of this episode.
Yeah, the uplate version, the unleashed.
Big
My
brother
question's gonna be-
uplate.
Yeah, Big Brother uncut. There we go.
Oh,
There you go.
no,
Go,
guys.
guys. Move the chair, please.
No, it's gonna be Matt. How do I get a grand final gig? But maybe polish the game up a little bit. But no, for Matt, the one question I do have, as someone who's relatively new to commentating and all this, is: don't you ever want your weekends back? And what keeps you going in, year out? Like I gotta say, like I know you're passionate about the game, but what motivates you every February and March every year when they give you a call again? What keeps you going?
You just said it. It's love and it's passion. Those are the two things. And I've always said this to anybody who asks me, they're starting out, what should I do? It's number one, you got to have that. That's one. And most people would have that in terms of, we all do. We've all been around a long time. We all love this game to death. I'm older than a lot of you probably combined these days.
So you would know Crazy John's better than any of us.
You know what's funny? I was listening to what James was saying. You guys did the whole, we're sponsored by Black Stump. Remember Black Stump? I'm thinking, I used to love that. There was one in Bankstown I used to go to. I'm like, oh my God.
There was one in Windsor. My dad took to me for my 7th birthday.
Yeah,
There was one in Erin Affair as well.
Good old Black Stump.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I got
Anyway,
you off track. Keep
getting
going with
serious,
the
you're right.
wisdom.
Getting serious. So that's that. And then the other thing is just you got to be prepared to put the work in. You got to be prepared because I know, look, we all do. Preparation is absolute key. That's fundamental. If you don't prepare properly, and by that, you have to dig up as much information. You have to trawl through stats. You have to, and everybody's got different ways of doing it. I've got my own particular way. I print out a whole sheet. It's like about that thick. And I don't know if Lockie might have seen it in the grand final, but it's got, notes, any kind of stats, which is why, guys like, oh God, I'm going to forget his name, Hoops DB, who does all the stats. Like that is God's own work for me because that makes my life so much easier. Just sort of go in there and go bang, 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 bang. Because the league stats are good. They're certainly a lot better. I think we'd agree that they used to be, but they're not kind of what we as commentators, because being a commentator, it's not just calling the play, it's telling the story. And in order to tell the story, you've got to understand about a player, about his tendencies, about his stats. You've got to understand about the team that's going back on, I've got to understand what Canberra is all about as an organisation since it all started. I've got to understand, obviously, the background in Illawarra, but not just them. Everybody, it has to be everybody in the league because you've got to be able to sound like you know what you're talking about at a base level. And, yeah, so preparation is so huge. And but fundamentally, yeah, it does come down to love and passion, James. I mean, look, I wouldn't do it otherwise, and for so long.
Would you say it comes down to the love of the game? Big shout out to SJ as well for his tuning in. But I get you. That's why we do it because you're definitely not in this business for the big bucks.
No, we're not in it for the money. I mean, it's
come on.
Let's be honest, we're not. We've all got we've all got 9 to 5 jobs. Some of us 12-hour a day jobs these days. But but how I also see it is, it's not work if you love it. If that makes sense, it's more. I spend hour upon hour upon hour putting this stuff together every week. I know you do, Jacinda. I know Lockie does. I know James does as well. And that the good ones you can tell. Yeah, they do all of that. They've got the love, they've got the passion, and they do the prep.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
I like what you said that you mentioned Illawarra and Canberra and then said you've got to know everyone because something that I took with me I learned this when I was doing my football refereeing course, is that every game is the most important game in the world to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Doesn't matter if you're refereeing a World Cup final or, Tuesday night social comp. If you make that wrong call, someone's going to get very upset. And I take that into everything I do with commentary. What I did for the grand final, I'm going to be doing for Youth 2 women this weekend at Terrigal. I will do exactly the same preparation because the parents and the families of those players and the players themselves deserve to have a game called professionally.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, actually, couldn't agree more. I love that slogan. I always have the slogan that every game's the grand final. But all right. Anyway, as much far out, I really don't want to go, but look, I'll leave you in the hands
we'll have to do this again. We'll have to do this
Matt,
again. It looks like we've got this little commentator's corner going. We're going to have some kind of commentator
new show coming next week. Commentator's Corner.
Commentator's Corner, little side hustle.
Sponsored by Sega World in Darling Harbour. Take the monorail there now. All right. That's me. Thank you so much. Scott Game people, I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work you guys do. Haven't missed an episode and you help us out the league so much and me prepare for commentary so much. And I just want to say I really appreciate the effort you two put in. I don't think a lot of people maybe acknowledge how much preparation goes into all of this. So I just want to thank you so much because you made it a lot easier for us to do what we do. So thank you guys.
And thank you so much as well, James, for all of your content and for your dedication to the East. And you always lead with your heart and your passion for the East and the game first, which definitely comes across in all your commentary and your content. So thank you also. Thanks for coming on, even though it's a long time coming, but we'll definitely got to tee something up again very soon.
Yeah, I'll see you next
See you in
week.
Canberra.
Yeah, we'll.
See you in Terrigal.
Oh, yeah, see you there, guys. All right.
Yeah. See you, brother.
Yeah.
All right, now we do have another guest waiting in the green room patiently, but before we bring them on, Matt, because it actually is good timing, because maybe given that you commentated the men's final, this next guest having you both at the same time is quite serendipitous. It wasn't entirely planned, but here we are. We love how the universe provides. Matt, before we bring the next guest on, tell us your perspective from the NBL 1 East finals day.
Fantastic, obviously. And it was interesting listening to you guys before, and you were talking about it. It is so true. I mean, the three of us have been part of this thing since it started in 2022. And the first thing that struck me walking in to Penrith, and obviously I came for both games, was just the setup and how much more professional it continues to get. So and the amount of media that was there, the photographers and the videographers, as you guys talked about, the content generators, which has just gone, it's exponential from what it was when we started in 2022. And then obviously with me and Waratah, that goes back, and ABA, I mean, we're talking way, way back. And it's just a completely different, excuse the pun, ball game. It really is, because of so many people getting involved and providing not just content. I mean, look, anybody can provide content. Great. And you talked about it, Jacinta, and you're on the money. I think it's the best I've seen. I mean, look, purely from a selfish aspect, obviously, even, Lockie talked about it, the clubs, and Inner West Bulls, Tane Mundine. I got to give the young man a shout out. And he does all the social media for the Bulls, and he's done a fabulous job. And he's only come on, that was last year. He's just a young guy, still learning, but he's there. He's working his butt off at every game, and it's fantastic to see. And I'm sure there's that story in pretty much every one of the 16 clubs. And then you've got kind of, if you want to say the freelancers, I mean, James and Garen do a phenomenal job. Obviously, it goes without saying what you two guys have done. It's been phenomenal. And then obviously SJ now and other people, just other podcasts and stuff on YouTube and Instagram. It blows my mind. And so walking in there and seeing all these people and seeing how BNSW set everything up, we had media areas, we had little tents on the court too, and the bar and everything. It was it just got me really pumped. Look, from the women's perspective, I figured that was going to happen. I mean, Manly were phenomenal. Nate Kerwin's someone I know for a long, long time. And I do tend to say that a lot about people I know, and it bores some people to death because McQuaid knows this person, McQuaid knows that person. I can't help it. I mean, Nate's a good friend, and so and I know how much it meant to him, and so I was absolutely thrilled for him and thrilled for the girls. But I was a little bit not. I don't want to be too harsh on the COE girls, because I mean, Sataya Fagan is the future of basketball. She is. I mean, like what she got? 26 Power 4 college offers, which is a record for an Australian, and she can take a pick. She wants to go play with Dawn Staley at North Carolina. Fine. She wants to go play wherever. I mean, you name it. It's an amazing position to be in. Zara Russell, another one. I mean, these girls are phenomenal, but I kind of thought it was a bridge too far. I think purely selfishly, I would have loved to have seen Manly Norths, because I think they would have packed that place out, and that was the only slight disappointment of the day for me, that the girls' grand final wasn't as well patronaged as what Illawarra Canberra and the men were, because it deserved it. Because the women's competition, I mean, Lockie's the guy as far as that's concerned, but I'm a massive advocate, as Swin knows as well. And the women's competition has been phenomenal this year, absolutely awesome. And again, it just continues to go to, and we get girls from WNBL, the imports are improved for the most part. There's more depth, more competitive games. You're not getting, as many. You're getting the odd one, but not as many of the blowouts. So like the men's comp, super competitive, of course. So that was the only thing I would like to have seen more people. But Manly were fabulous. Taylor Wirtz, I mean, that first quarter, that was ball game. She was just incredible, and Zoe Miller, and and I get what you saw. I saw Alex. I didn't. I was standing right next to Lockie. I didn't see the tears, but I saw. I was doing watching the game, but I can understand it because I mean she's a great girl, obviously, and again it was great to see, and from a personal standpoint, seeing Nate get his championship ring and getting absolutely drenched in champagne afterwards was because he came over and had a chat. But and then the men. Look, I've called a lot of games in my life, and that was up there. That game was phenomenal. I'll use that word, phenomenal. It was an amazing game, and I did expect it to be because people were asking me, "Oh, who's your tip? Who's your tip?" I said, "Well, you can make an argument for either team," and I'd believe it. But at the end of the day, there was that one team that is the epitome of that word, and is so magnificently coached, has a core group of guys that, I use the words connection and chemistry and togetherness and understanding. And they may not have the imports, the flashy imports or whatever. They've got some outstanding players, but they are unselfish. Everybody's involved at some level. So you couldn't have found a more worthy winner than Canberra. And Illawarra, I kind of felt like ran out of gas at the end because, Matty Flynn, who's a great head coach, done a phenomenal job this season, that he had to rely on kind of those four guys, and he wore them into the ground, I thought. And when they were missing shots down the stretch, that's how you knew. Toddy Blanchfield started getting a bit short on his threes, and as great as he was, and William Mayfield did an amazing job defending him at the expense of his own scoring output, did everything else, 9 assists and a bunch of rebounds and 3 steals and the usual diving on the floor for loose balls. And that's what he does. And James Toohey did his thing. And Emma Lafonwu was amazing. I mean, he was mine and Mookie's pick for MVP. We had one of the votes, and so I was glad to see him get it.
Well, I'm just so glad to hear that you have so many nice words to say about the Canberra Gunners program and their coach, because waiting very patiently in the green room,
he knows
as coach of the year, Aaron.
There he is.
This was not planned at all. So I just love how things turn out like this. Thank you, Universe, for providing. But Pete, welcome. And Lockie, we've got 2. We've now just had 3. Now this is Pete being the 3rd of our biggest Eastcock game fans in one episode. Christmas has come at once for us, mate. Couldn't be better. Hello, Pete. How are you? Thanks for waiting patiently, and thanks for joining us on EGG.
Thanks very much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And yes, Matt, I appreciate the very kind words. We've spoken a fair bit over the last couple of seasons, so I do appreciate everything you say about the program.
It's all true, mate, as you well know.
Yeah, it's certainly a very special program. Yeah, you go for it, Lockie.
Pete, I think the first question is, how the boys pull up? If you hadn't cancelled training today, how many would have actually made it?
I think they would have made it. I think I probably was a little bit worse for wear. I think I was in more hurt locker than they were. So no, they certainly lapped it up. We stayed in Penrith on Saturday night, and one of the sponsors helped us out and set us up at a brewery in Penrith. And shout out to DMC who helped us out there, and then we decided to take it back to the hotel and just kick on there. And I think I kicked the last boys out at about 4:30 of our room and just said, boys, I got to go to bed, I got to drive you home tomorrow, come on. So 2.5 hours sleep. I'm a bit old for that these days, but a few of them bounce back quite well.
Wow, so no black stump for the Gunners.
No.
I'm getting PTSD from Flames post WNBL grand final celebrations.
It was a big night. There's a lot of photos of James Toohey with the trophy.
As there should be.
Yeah, he has. There's a lot of photos. He went to bed with it. He showered with it. There's a lot of photos.
And SJ from Love of the Game sending you some love as well, saying congrats, coach.
Appreciate SJ. Appreciate all that. Like you spoke about, the content creators are just phenomenal. As Matt said, the photographers, everyone involved, the people who just do it for the love, yourselves. It's just phenomenal how much you all put in, and it just shows. And it's why, long time listener, first time caller today. It's really great to see. And you know what? There's some stuff sometimes I pick up from you guys that I might not have picked up when doing my scouts, so that's why I always have a listen, and I listen for some extra motivation sometimes. I hope someone gives me some motivation.
Okay, all right. Which one? Who was it? Canberra. Come on.
No, everyone was pretty good. Even Jason last week, he nailed a few things. He was great to have on. You should definitely get him back on. He was awesome to listen to. Look, he's a very experienced campaigner, very well media trained, obviously. But he was just great to listen to last week. But the mentality that we have is he picked up on that. So kudos to him and understanding what we're about. And it was great to listen to.
Yeah, I also really like Jason Kadee as a guest. Would encourage him to start his own podcast somehow as well, because he has
exactly
a lot of experience and he calls a spade, which is a great combination of things that I want to listen to. But look, while us three Nerdburgers are in the room with Coach of the Year, should we try and chop it up a little bit and talk a little bit more about this men's final?
I think so.
Excellent. So let's start from the beginning. What was your primary game plan going into the final against Illawarra Hawks, Pete?
Look, it was definitely to try stop their transition. You're never going to fully stop it, and we didn't. Like, they had a number of runs during the game. It was about weathering the storm and limiting those runs as much as possible and trying to slow down their transition. Part of that was our shot selection and making sure we got good shots, and also crash the offensive rebounds, which you could see early on. We definitely did, and got some extra opportunities early on in the game. And I know Matt and Mookie talked about it. And then that dried up in the second and third quarters, and you could see how the script sort of flipped there. And then, we sent some more bodies again in that last quarter, and it kind of put a little bit more pressure on that transition. Look, trying to slow Todd as much as possible, but it's a difficult task, and you got to send multiple bodies, and then he's going to find other open guys. And you look at Kobe McDowell White and Lockie Dent, both hitting big shots, who are big time players, and they're just elite players themselves. And we definitely knew they could also hurt us, but it was kind of a case of we just needed to try pick what we were going to try limit and what we were going to, hopefully scramble and rotate and just make as difficult as we possibly could.
And obviously, Lockie and Matt, if you've got any questions on the fly, feel free to jump in as well, because I'm sure you were there, so I'm sure you've got some observations too.
No, it's interesting, Pete. It struck me. Obviously, we talked about, it was a real styles make fights game. Yeah, that was kind of how I introed it, because on the one hand, you've got Illawarra, they shoot the most make the most threes in the league, quickest in pace by a fair margin. You guys have got obviously the ultimate low post weapon in Glenn, and and you've been a more deliberate kind of half court setup in the pace. I think you're 8th in pace in the league. But what struck me was interesting that, as something Mookie pointed out as well, is that you didn't mind running with them though. There were stages where, Derek got out in the break, or obviously Will is a guy that does, and James does as well. And that was, I found that really fascinating. Was that something you talked about, to not be afraid of the pace and to take your opportunities where you had them?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think last year, the grand final, when the pace ratcheted up, we just couldn't go with Maitland last year. And it was something we've talked about all year, about having that ability to play with some more pace. We are never going to lead the league in pace. When you've got the 6'10" superstar that is the Brindabella Beacon, you're going to go to him and you need to use him. There's a reason why he's a 4-time All-Star 5 member. He's just elite down there on the low block, and his decision making, particularly this year, he upped his assists this year. He was really, really effective for us this year in drawing doubles and triples and making great decisions. But yeah, we talked about the fact that last year we couldn't go when the pace ratcheted up, and then we didn't have a second gear when we potentially were down in points. And the Southern game is probably the prime example. Sorry, Lockie, for bringing it up, but
It's all right.
He's still annoyed with you about that.
No, I'm not. No, because I picked Canberra at the start of the season, so
he did.
I'm
So that's
correct.
why I still love him. But yeah, so the Sutherland game was a prime example whereby we had to increase the tempo. Another team that likes a bit of pace, and we had that string to our bow this year that we could go. And yeah, that was probably one of our fastest games of the year in the grand final. But the game was kind of dictated by that for us a little bit. But you could see that in the big moments when we needed something, there was one guy we went to, and that was, the big fella inside. And that's why we ended up coming away with the win.
28 and 14 had the Brindabella Beacon had. And going back to what you said about crashing the offensive glass, 5 of his 14 rebounds were O boards. So he was really locked in and sticking to your game plan. And it sounds like he was going to do whatever it took to make sure that you left Penrith with a chip.
Yeah, look, I thought he was going to have a 40-piece, but some interesting calls probably limited that. The Todd is just so smart. And I was talking to Glenn afterwards, and he said to him when he had his second, the next time he just ran straight at his hip. He was going to draw that third foul no matter what. And that's just a veteran who is so intelligent. And, it definitely was a foul, but it was probably not the hardest one of the game. But you know what? That's why he's at that elite level, and he's, the MVP and a superstar, because then, we had to adjust after that happened.
But how big was it when Glenn had to go to the bench with those 3 fouls, and the guys not only stood up in his place, actually took the lead? And it wasn't, obviously, Glenn could have easily won MVP. I went for Derek mainly because of the fact that he held things together when Glenn was on the bench and was just that absolute go-to guy. But a couple of guys that probably most people wouldn't talk about that I thought were huge were William Rice and Angus Byatt. Just giving you that production and those quality minutes when Glenn was on the pine. I thought, he hit a big 3, Will hit a big 3, and Angus great in transition, and I thought those 2 kids were outstanding. And again, it's a pointer to how deep the team was, but how together you were, that everybody played their role and did so in an absolutely selfless manner, which, I've often said is a tribute to yourself, Pete.
Yeah, look, those kids have put in so much work, and I'm so happy that they've continued to grow. Angus, AB, as we call him, he is only going to get better and better. He's just scratching the surface of how good he could be. He can play at both ends of the floor. He really can hold the defense together as a team defender. But yeah, he ran the floor hard and had a couple of big, layups. He thought about dunking him, he said, but he thought about just making the right decision and just making sure they win.
He got me with, I don't know if you've seen the replay, but
I have seen it.
And I went, oh, you're going to dunk it.
I saw that. I was like, yeah. Oh.
He just dropped it in. He just sort of just put it in. I was like, good. But yeah, he was excellent. And then yeah, Will Rice, like he's had an amazing year, and I couldn't be more happy for him. He's really started to grow up and understand what he has to do on both ends of the floor as a player, and he's worked hard on his game. And I think also he's just relaxed a little bit out on the floor now. He understands what he needs to do, and the guys will find him in the right positions, and the guys trust him, and the coaching staff trust him to make the right decisions. And you know, he's an elite shooter who you have to run off the line, because if you don't, he will hurt you. But also he had a couple of big defensive plays in there too. So I was super happy that those guys did that, and we wouldn't be having this conversation today if he and Angus didn't step up.
I think that also goes back to what Matt was saying before you jumped on, Pete, how it sounds like Illawarra kind of ran out a little bit of legs, was really heavily relying on the main four from their squad versus, you know, your team, the Gunners, you have your depth and you've been able to prepare them all season for moments like this. And it always goes back to that cliche of the bench makes the team. So being able to give your bench those opportunities during the season, getting more reps up, and then being able to have the flexibility of that depth when it comes to game time and your opposition are running out of steam, you've still got fresh legs that you can rely on. I mean, that's really going to put you over the line to get a championship as well.
Yeah, we had a really deep squad this year, and we had a deep roster as well. Like we had 17 guys essentially at practice most weeks. A number of guys who didn't play the back end of the year who deserve just as much credit for where we end up, because practice was absolutely brutal every week and everyone was competing for spots. You know, a Mitch Robinson, a Zach McDermott, which I've had a number of conversations about. Like, unfortunately for Zach, he plays behind what I feel are the two best three men in the comp, which is Will Mayfield and Cameron Pender. I know Cameron's still young and there's probably some better three men out there, but I love Cameron and he's a superstar in my eyes. And you know, he doesn't get as much opportunity potentially because of those guys, but at practice he's driving those guys to be better every single week. You know, a Lockie Smith and a Brooklyn Bruton who both can get on fire. You know, and it was a case of matchup based at the weekend where I felt that we just needed a bit more defense rather than offense. Our offense was humming. We scored 99 points. There's not many games where we've scored 99 against an elite team like that. So, yeah, it was a case of we went with the guys that we thought would provide that defensive presence at the weekend, but they're also, you know, phenomenal players and brought a lot of spark to our squad this year. And, you know, a guy like Evan Wardlow who stepped in late and then, you know, just provided a bit of senior leadership, which is what we kind of needed when, you know, we had a 3-game skid there where it was, you know, 6-0 and flying high. And then, you know, 3 games where we didn't look so good. And we'd been having conversations with Evan, and that sort of helped us pull the trigger on that. And we were like, righto, if we want to go deep against some of these teams that are really stacked and loaded up, we need some veteran presence out there.
And I think it's a really easy thing to say looking from the outside, especially with country teams that have got the, you know, solid core, to just say, oh, they're the country team, they're all local guys, they're going to, you know, be a solid, close-knit unit. But I think that's a lazy take, because there's plenty of, you know, teams out there, regional, that have got local kids that don't come together like you guys did. How do you get 17 guys to all come together and, you know, work together as one for a championship when they know, some of them pretty much are coming in knowing that minutes are going to be almost non-existent?
Yeah, it's not easy, and you know, it's never fun as a coach to sometimes have those conversations with guys. That's one of the worst parts of the job for me, is, you know, having those conversations to tell those guys, like, whilst I enjoy trying to help them get to that next level, it's never fun to say, look, you're probably not going to play today, or you're not going to be in the team this week. But I will say that that's driven by our senior leaders who, you know, James Toohey is a leader through and through. particularly getting guys on court every single day, pushing guys to be better, being positive with the guys, helping them out. And it's a case of practice is just fun. Like, it's just competitive and fun. And we had this thing about when I first came in, we didn't think that necessarily the best players in Canberra were all playing at the highest possible level. And so we were like, righto, we have to convince all the best players to be in the room before we can actually be considered a quality team. And now players are fighting to get in the squad. And, unfortunately, some of our academy players having to go elsewhere, which, is a double-edged sort of, yes, it's a positive and I want them to get to the next level. Unfortunately, we may not have the space for them now, but a guy like a William Rice who went away for 12 months to Illawarra, got some more experience, and then came home and was just a better, more well-rounded player, ready to plug in and provide excellent minutes. It's a case of all of those guys just know that when they come to practice, it's going to be the highest quality basketball they're going to play each week.
I mean, we had a few in 2024 come up to Sutherland from Canberra, and they put in for us, and we would love to have them back, but I think
you're not getting one of them back for sure. There was one I was sad that he went, but the experience was amazing that he left. And again, same thing, and that's young Spencer Musgrove. He's an excellent young player. Geordie Hilda, like I've always also rated really highly. It's just unfortunate that he is behind Glenn, who's the best center in the comp.
And just before you go, Coach, just a couple more questions I wanted to ask you, just as a general kind of thing. What were some of your biggest surprises this season as a whole, given that you have coached NBL 1 since since it started?
I think the new signings of all the NBL talent, that was probably the biggest surprise initially, and then it was a bit of excitement around, okay, well, now we've got to up our game again from a coaching perspective. Shout out to my assistant coach who puts in many hours, and I've spoken about to many people who could be a head coach anywhere in this league or in the NBL 1. He's unbelievable coach. But yeah, that was probably initially the first thing that I was surprised by. Kawatanoy, Jalen Galloway, Jason Kadee, Todd Blanchfield, Kobe McDowell-White, then Lockie Dent signs late, and you're like, holy dooly, teams are loaded up here. How are we gonna deal with all these guys? And we had some success against some and less against others, but that was probably the first surprise for me this year. And then I think the next thing was that every single game it meant a little bit more this year. There weren't as many blowouts. There were some. There's always going to be blowouts. Teams are going to have injuries. Teams are going to lose players, or for whatever reason, lives, etc. But yeah, there weren't as many blowouts. There weren't as many games that you walked in, and I never walked in going, oh yeah, don't worry about this. We can just roll in. Don't worry about the scout. We'll beat these guys. We know who they are. No, we had to prepare the same way every game. So that was, a nice surprise that, yeah, the league is just way stronger and way deeper.
And then the last question I kind of had was, where do you see the NBL 1 East in the next 3 years?
Oh, look, I think, hopefully even stronger again. Hopefully Toddy's already re-signed for 2 more years, which, is huge for Illawarra. Really, really exciting for them. And, they're definitely going to be looking for revenge in 2 weeks' time, I feel. Possibly Toddy won't be there, but just because of the NBL Blitz commitments. But yeah, it's I think it's just going to go from strength to strength. I think teams are realizing you've got to invest probably a little bit more money if you want to be competitive. I think that we've got to find a way to make sure it doesn't head the way that it has in some of the other conferences where teams are folding because they've gone heavily all in on 1 or 2 seasons worth of talent for whichever of the 2 programs. I think we just really need to be careful of that because at the moment, we're the second biggest conference. And so, we don't want to get down to, 10 teams because a bunch of teams folded. We actually want to get stronger. We want to be way more competitive. We want New South Wales to be challenging, the Vics, challenging the Queensland Norths and show how strong New South Wales basketball really is.
Gentlemen, Matt and Lockie, any more questions for Coach Pete before we bring on our next guest and say goodbye for now?
For now,
Pete,
yes.
By the way, for now.
I just say see you in Canberra at Nationals.
Excellent. No, I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone. Matt, appreciate you. Squin, Lockie, everything you do, and keep up the amazing work. I know it's not easy to do this on top of all your game prep. Listening to Matt before talking about his game prep, it's very similar to a coach's game prep. You're looking through the stats, you're pouring through for information. So I appreciate how much work all you guys put in. It's amazing, and just keep it up.
We're really stoked that you are such a loyal listener. So thank you very much for listening to EGG especially. We're glad that it has been helpful and that some of our takes and analysis and nerdy behavior is benefiting someone else other than ourselves. So that's also nice. But have we started to prepare for Nationals just yet, Coach Pete?
Basically, started today. So, we're looking at it. Myself and my assistant coach have been chatting over text, just starting to prepare our team for that. And the boys are getting excited and looking forward to, really challenging ourselves against all those other teams. There's going to be some missing guys, but I think also the way they've done the draw, there's probably going to be some guys that might surprise that actually turn up on the day. So, I think there'll probably be some more guys than usual, and I think they've sort of aligned it for a reason. And, it'll be really interesting to see.
Very good. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you there as a coach, especially, and that the Canberra Gunners are going to be representing the East on home soil. I think that's probably the first time in NBL 1 Nationals history that that's actually happened, where the host has qualified by being the champion. So it's going to be super exciting and showing what the East can do.
Yeah, very excited. Can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. We'll bid farewell for now, but we'll definitely have to have you on again in the future, but we'll definitely see you in Canberra.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Bye.
See you, mate.
Now, Matt, we've got one more guest in the wings. Would you like to stay on, or do you need to bid farewell? Yeah?
No. I can see if you'll have me, yeah. If you're not, yeah.
Now, it's just you've just said so many of the right things today, Matt, just by chance. This is someone that you just before referred to as one of your good friends that you've known for a long time. You followed their coaching history from coaching. I personally remember this person having a lot of great success in the men's program pre-NBL 1 East, and I was very happy when they took on the coach's role for the women's program, and look how it's flourished, getting the Manly Warringah Seagulls their first chip, especially for such a talented bunch, sticking with the process and getting their rewards. It is Nate Kerwin, championship coach. Congratulations and welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for jumping on. How are you feeling? How are you a bit as dusty as Coach Pete Herrick was from the Gunners?
I'm probably just starting to feel human again today, I reckon.
You got the champagne out of the shirt yet?
Yeah, no, it's still there. Actually, I haven't washed it yet.
Oh, no.
It's upstairs somewhere, I think. We had a good night that night. So
I wouldn't want to be the poor junior team that had to walk in there during JPL.
Oh, the change room after?
In the change room.
Yeah. Oh, I can pass I didn't know that was coming, so I can pass the blame off onto probably Gail actually and some of the girls.
But yeah, how does it feel after you have been so successful since NBL1 has started, men's and women's competition for yourself, pre-NBL1, now NBL1, getting so close and not quite there? How does it now feel to finally have that championship under your belt?
Yeah, it feels awesome, first of all. Just really excited for the girls. Obviously, they've worked so hard and all of them have been together for so long as well. Like, I think I said to Caleb, like even the year before I started coaching them, they were one possession away from a grand final. So like they've been so close for now, like the fourth year pretty much. So to see them all see how much it meant to them all, see them get over the line is unreal.
Were you aware that one of your players made Lockie cry during the broadcast on the weekend?
I heard after. That's all right, mate. They make me cry sometimes as well. So. I heard. I can understand it, especially with I think Locke's known her. I can see the jersey in the background there. Yep. Known her for a while, and knowing her and like all of them obviously, but knowing her and how much effort she puts into it and how much she loves it. So I can imagine getting to see her achieve that with her sister and her mum there as well would be special. So.
And so same thing, Lockie and Matt. We're just going to we'll get nerdy together, ask Nate some questions about the weekend and the season. Jump in when you're free and when you're ready. But the first one I just want to know is, we asked Coach Pete the same, Nate, is what was your game plan going into the grand final against the COE?
Like obviously they're super talented and young and athletic. Watched a fair bit of them, and like the game we played against them in the last round, even though they were missing a couple players, we had a fair few out also. Just the big thing was containing the ball, like from the perimeter. They want to get to the rim. They live on points in the paint. Even though a lot of them can shoot threes, it's probably not like the first thing they want to do. So yeah, really focused on just containing the ball from the perimeter and making it, a contested jump shooting team and a one-on-one against our pretty good defenders that we got. So that was the main point.
Yeah, I feel like your roster is probably pretty much made to do just that. You've made it. I mean, obviously you've made it really hard for teams all season, but I feel like the matchup is really good against COE in particular. But I mean, what did you really take much out of the last game of the regular season against them?
More so just from the defensive end on what we had to focus on. Like obviously, like with Sataya and Zara Russell coming back to add to the team that we played. But just how impressive like Isabel Smith was against us. I'm going to butcher her last name, but Olivia Aleknowitz, I think maybe. Is that how you say it?
Aleknovich.
Aleknovich. Sorry, Olivia.
Closer than most.
Just how impressive they were, right? And so like not to just concentrate on the two coming back from the World Cup, but like how good they were as well. Is like we got to be on our game. There's no one that we like can just ignore and not guard. So probably just more defensively. Like I think we're pretty good offensively, no matter who we're playing, if we stick to like how we like to play basketball. So it was more on the defensive end from that last game, even though, we had, I think, four of us. Well, Alex couldn't play the half of the second half. So it's essentially we didn't finish the game with four starters that game and still managed to play some young girls and come up with a win. So yeah, a little bit, but not heaps.
Mate, I wanted to ask you, 2023, and obviously Squin's talked about the fact that this has been a long time coming, this championship for you. A bunch of those girls were in 2023 and that loss to Norths. Did that drive you this season? And, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on, obviously Norths lost to COE in that prelim final, which was a bit of a surprise because I think most people were expecting you guys to, do battle in the grand final. But did that experience kind of motivate you? I know it was 2 years ago, but obviously Alex played, Kimberly was there. Zoe was there. Quite a few of them in that game, and I know it was a huge disappointment for you. But was that a motivating factor? Thinking about that loss in 2023.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, me personally, I hate losing. I'm super competitive, so
I know.
to get that far and have a really good season and then ultimately not get it done, definitely. And it definitely kept them coming back for more and working extra hard. All of them work really hard, but I don't know if you see the improvement of someone just like Josie Bullman, that year to this year, completely different player, and that's just from hard work and a lot of that is driven by that loss, but more so just wanting to get it done for each other. So yeah, it definitely drove us. But probably being our rivals didn't help as well, so it probably added it to a little bit as well. Even though we know that how much respect, I've got heaps of respect for them and they're such a good program, but losing a grand final hurts as it is, but then losing to North probably adds that little bit extra of just motivation and wanting to get it done even more. Yeah,
because we had Josie as our very first guest on East Got Game for season 3, so almost like a bit of a full circle moment now that we could have you. And I think she was talking about, now I'm probably going to paraphrase this maybe a little bit too plainly, so Lockie, please fill in the gaps. I lean on you a lot for that, so please fill in the gaps. But Josie was talking about how this year it had to be a little bit more of that mental edge or that kind of real, winning the mental game this year to help you win that championship. So was that something that you purposely addressed again this season, or is that something that you just ingrain in any team that you coach?
Yeah, well, you try to, and we did purposely, but I think accidentally, the round 2, our second game against Norths, that probably was in hindsight the best thing that could have happened to us. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but we were down Zoe and still up 17 with 3 minutes to go, and I've never experienced anything like that in all my time in basketball, and ended up losing in overtime, and it really stung at the time. But I think it probably helped us in the end to just that's never happening again. And we need to, I guess just like you talked about, mentally being on top of everything and being confident in that, that can't happen ever again. So probably a bit of an accidental thing, but it is something we tried to talk about before the start of the season.
And you mentioned Zoe, and I want to talk about her play during the middle portion of the game, because I've watched her in a lot of big games over the years, and she always seems to find another gear. What is her kind of mentality, knowing that she is, an absolute staple of this program, but probably also slightly behind in terms of, credit she gets. She's kind of behind Wirtz and Delaney and Dickinson. So I guess how does she go into a game like that?
She's quiet, but she's so driven and so like I just mentioned before, I'm super competitive, but she's the ultimate competitor. And you're right, not just in the final, but the 2 playoff games previous, she was massive for us, right? And we spoke during the season, well, I did with her, and just how good of a job she's doing at being a point guard for this team. And like you said, that doesn't always get noticed with, numbers on the score sheet or anything like that when you've got people like Taylor and Kim scoring the ball and stuff like that. But she pretty much gets tasked with guarding the best guard every week, has to run our offense, make sure we're getting the right looks. And she's turned herself into way more of a playmaker, I feel like, over the last year than what she has been previously, because she's been a point guard size, but she's probably been a bit more of a scoring guard previously. So just she's done such a good job of becoming an actual point guard, and she's still so young as well. She's still got so much good basketball ahead of her. So I think she takes the approach of trying to get into the game defensively and then, get us going. And then I don't know what it is. She just finds a switch and finds her spots to be aggressive. And, I've been on her about being aggressive as it is. So I'm glad that she was able to. She needs to shoot the ball more as well. I think
But
you
she's the best shooter. Well, sorry, Josie's
Percentage
actually
wise.
the best shooter on the team. Zoe's second now.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Not the same volume as Taylor, but still.
no.
I've been on her about shooting the ball more. Like she's a really good shooter, and sometimes she turns down some shots because she's so good at getting in the lane. So yeah, we'll work on that for next year as well.
I mean, she cooked Jemima Maniok over and over and over in the space of about 3 minutes.
Yeah, she's hard to stay in front of. When we've been short this year, unfortunately, begrudgingly, I've had to put some shoes on and fill in a couple of times at training. And I keep telling Zoe, if you keep calling me up for ball screens, I'm going to be bench you for the weekend. Stop getting me up in action and going past me.
That's awesome.
It's kind of weirdly nice and humbling to know that even the championship winning team are sometimes short at practice and have to find a way to get their coach to fill the bench.
Yeah, I'm like, especially at the time of the year it was, they don't want to be doing breakdowns and drills the whole training session. So we want to get up and down and play. So had to hobble up and down the court a few times, and just
can you claim workers' compensation if you get injured?
Yeah. I should.
I'm sure you hit a couple of those corner threes you were famous for, Mr.
Yeah. I was still hitting a couple of threes, but
Mhm.
the size 6 ball doesn't agree with me. I need the 7.
That's right. Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite. I can't shoot with a size 7 because I spent so much time around women's basketball that I've used a size 6 more often.
Yeah. I think it's just ingrained in me in habit, I guess, right? Like, even though in theory it should be easier because it's a smaller ball, I can't do it. So
no, I agree with what you're saying, Nate, because if you shoot a large volume of shots over your life with a certain weight and size and stuff of a ball, your brain is finely tuned and conditioned to that kind of that thing. So when you have to switch, it's totally different. I mean, I don't know what Shaq's problem was, just because he had big hands, but I mean, for people that are training day in, day out.
We'll roll with that anyway.
That's my biological explanation. People can argue with me in the DMs, but it's really interesting. You know, you gave us a quick glimpse of what practice is like. It sounds fun. It sounds like you're still running up and down with your team when you need to. And Lockie made a comment earlier in this episode just about how there are teams like your Manly team who you can see online how much they support each other just as people and as friends. You know, they're posting pictures of each other. They're going to each other's engagements and milestone birthdays and things like that. Do you think those types of things, off-court stuff really do transfer on court to create that chemistry and make a team so special?
Yeah, I think it's very rare that you can be successful without that, I think, and they're definitely like that. It's actually really similar to Maddie would remember, but like the group that we had when I was playing with, we were all super tight and super close and went to each other's weddings, and it really reminds it makes me want to keep coming back and coaching them. Like, they really remind me of that group as well. Like, just I think at our level it's different in the WNBL and the NBL, but at our level I think you need that baseline of at least some form of, like wanting to do it because, most of these girls aren't getting paid anything and they're working a full day's work to then come to training after. Like, it can be a grind. So if you're not really, don't have that respect or not close with the team that you're playing with, like, I think you're kind of just battling uphill from there. So the fact that we have that as a group and the girls are so good with each other, I think just it makes it way easier for some of them to sacrifice the things that they do and their basketball to then I just get to coach the X's and O's, and it's easy.
And be on a few Instagram reels.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that, to be honest. It's definitely not something that I like to do, but Maya's hard to say no to, and she's really good at it. So, I don't know. I get pressure from my wife and my daughters to do it as well. So, Maya babysits my 2 daughters sometimes, and my girls are like, you got to get and do the TikToks with Maya. I'm like, oh, God. But yeah, no, she's really good at it. So I'm happy to maybe do 1 or 2 a year. Maybe that's about it.
It does add to the fun, though, especially when you are the head coach and you are coaching adults. So it can be hard sometimes to have that separation between this is when I'm your coach and this is when I can muck around with you. Sometimes that can be mixed up when you're coaching an adult team. And I've definitely had coaches before who have tried to stay almost like too stoic and have too much of that coach's personality and separate themselves from all of that fun and mucking around with us sometimes. And it didn't work out well for them. So I think you've struck a really nice balance. And I think that's, if you want your players to kind of buy in sometimes into what you're planning for the season, I think doing the odd TikTok is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, you got to give up something, right? So yeah, being on social media a couple of times a year is probably not the end of the world.
So does that mean when Lockie and I come to nationals that we can we'll grab you and do some EGG TikToks?
I don't know.
Hey.
So let me know what you got planned. If it's any dancing or anything, I'm out.
Don't worry.
Maya keeps it really simple for me. I do one take. It's really simple, and then I'm out of it. So
one take wonder.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe Squid and I'll have to sneak into a Manly one.
Yeah. Pop in.
Yeah.
Get more views than if I was in it. So yeah, pop in there.
No, that might be more realistic. We'll be too busy to be mucking around with TikTok, I think, at nationals. So you're safe. You'll be safe from us.
Perfect.
Lockie, Matt, any final questions for Coach Nate before we wish him well and good luck for nationals?
I had one. When you have to be honest.
Okay.
When did you know it was over? The grand final. When did you know it was won?
And I asked him this on the day.
Great question.
Brian Delaney was asking me that all Saturday night because they we went to their place before we went out and they put the game on just to, I guess, bask in it. And he's like, surely by now you thought. And honestly, like, I was clearly aware of the score, but there was no way I was allowing myself to think of anything but like what was going on in the game. Even when I subbed the starters out, like, I'm like, I just need the buzzer to go before I can like actually, I guess, breathe a sigh of relief. So I don't know that I have the answer for you. Like, obviously being up 27 at halftime, in the back of my mind, I'm like, we're in a pretty good spot here, but I can't let them know that. So I really didn't allow myself to even think of anything until even like I gave them the starters a quick hug when they came off. But like, I also wanted to make sure that the girls were on the court knew that like I wasn't just ignoring them as well. Like, they've put in heaps of time, and even if it's only 40 seconds, like, I wanted to make sure that they got something out of me and their time in the spotlight as well. So yeah, it sounds really boring and sounds like a massive coach answer, but literally not until the buzzer went off. And then I was like, okay, I can breathe now. I think I held on. I gave Gail a hug, and I remember thinking, all right, I should probably let go now. This has gone on for a bit too long, but I couldn't let go for about 6 or 7 seconds. So,
because I think I knew when Josie Bullman hit that corner three to start the game. Literally 17 seconds in. First possession, I was like,
yeah.
The way they just moved the ball and then the shot went down, I was like, no one's grown horns. No one's taking it upon themselves. They've just played the same team basketball they always have. They're going to do this. They're going to roll it.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with the start, but I definitely wasn't thinking that was the game. But I think it's a coach's job to be a bit pessimistic about that type of stuff. So
grounded, not pessimistic. We got to be grounded.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
because when I say we, I don't coach, but you know what I mean. You got to stay grounded in those situations, because I'm sure you've coached and played way too many games and seen people come back from a 27-point deficit to relax.
Yeah, well, I mean, North almost did it to us in 3 minutes. So, like, there's no way I was, allowing myself to think anything but the game was on the line until it was finished. So,
yeah, and you're playing the team that beat North. So if you're feeling that way, against North, and then you're playing against the team that beat North, certainly.
And they're young and got so much energy. I was like, no, there's just we're not doing it. So. Yeah.
Young people, up back.
Seriously.
Like, take a rest.
Yeah, relax.
But yeah, Nate, thank you so much for jumping on, being a guest for Eastcott Game this week. Again, congratulations on winning the championship with such a great group of female athletes. And I'm guessing the prep for nationals starts for you as well.
Yeah. I started looking at a couple of the teams. I think we'll have it'll depend on the West game this weekend, but I think we've got one of the Victoria teams first up, so it's not going to be easy. But yeah, gave them last night off. We normally go Monday, Wednesday for training, so gave them last night off, and then our youth league girls train before us, and a lot of them double up and do both. So we're going to scrimmage against them on Wednesday night because obviously they got a massive weekend as well. So shout out to the youth league girls. Hopefully they can do a bit of a clean sweep for the Manly women. And then next week we'll go back to regular training as we normally would.
Will you be tuning in to the Manly Youth League Women's Semi-Final?
I think I'll be there.
Excellent.
Yeah,
well,
I think
then you don't have to. Once again, you don't have to listen to my commentary.
No, I think I got permission to go up and willing that they make the final. I think Nicole, my wife, and my girls were going to go up Sunday morning and watch it. So.
Very good. But yeah, best of luck in your preparations. We will see you in Canberra, and I can guarantee that you and your squad will be very competitive at nationals. So we're really excited to see it all unfold.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the plan. We hope so. We'll give it a crack anyway.
Yeah,
Good luck, mate.
that's all you can do.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again, Nate. See you then.
All right.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
And Matt McQuaid, you have stuck around for a lot of this episode. Thank you again for sticking around. Do you have any final thoughts on NBL 1 East before we say goodbye to you?
Just an incredible season. Not so incredible for the Inner West Bulls men, unfortunately. That was a bit of a disaster. But on the women's side, it was great that we were really competitive. They won the most games in a season that they ever have. And obviously, a lot of that had to do with Talia Tapia and Christina Moore. But also, I just think that the girls really came together and just missed out on the playoffs. The competition in a whole has been awesome. Yeah, and you look, as I said, if you love doing what you do, it's not work. It just becomes part of what you do, and you look forward to it every week. And I absolutely did, whether it was commentating or going to games, or which I went to a whole bunch, and outside Bulls games, and then being able to commentate the men's grand final was the icing on the cake. And it's just it's so exciting. And look, I know I've said this a million times, but you guys, just congratulations to both of you. You'll do a phenomenal job, as you always do in nationals. But for this in particular, the work you do, I hear people talk about it all the time. And you kind of were, you're the ones that kicked this whole thing off. We talked about how great the content's been this season and how it's gone to a different level. It doesn't happen without you guys starting this podcast in the first place, when no one else did. And so everybody should be thankful to you guys, and you continue to set the standard. You do a phenomenal job. You both obviously love the game, even though Squins deserted New South Wales, unfortunately. We know why.
I'm bilingual. I'm bilingual now. I speak East and North.
East and North, that's right. Yes, you do. And great job in the grand final too with our good friend Mr. Guarana. Up there doing it as well. So, yeah, just a big thank you to everybody that, on behalf of everybody, I guess, that tunes in and has been a part of this for a very long time, and long may it continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matt. Yeah, that's really, really kind of you to say. And we know that you've been one of our biggest supporters as well since the very, very start. Thanks for recognizing us as a couple of the OGs of getting this NBL 1 East content.
Yeah, the young people say OG. I should have said OG, but that's what the young people say. So, yeah.
The sentiment remains the same, still remains the same. But yeah, thank you for you as well for, cutting the path of up and coming budding commentators like us as well. There's a lot of people, including us in the league and interstate, that still look up to you as one of the GOAT commentators. So thank you as well.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's embarrassing, but I appreciate it. I love doing it. We all love doing it, don't we? You know, and it's nice to know that we're kind of driving. And I said this. I mean, it's on KO if you want to go back and watch it. But I did give a thanks at the end when we were signing out to everybody, like the content people and the videographers and the photographers and the podcasters, and to all the commentators who do it week in, week out, a lot for no money. Everyone's doing a great job in helping to drive, the professionalism of the league and take it in an even better direction. And the next, you asked Pete about the 3 years. I think the 3 years are going to be, we're going to see. I just get the sense we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, Will Hickey. We didn't even talk about him being in the NBL.
Yeah.
Bawali Bales, another one. And I just think, look, the people I can say from the Bulls' perspective, obviously they've already started preparations for next year, and people we're looking at are NBL players already. So without saying who, and I think the women will be in the similar boat. We'll be looking at, okay, who can we attract that's WNBL quality? And that's going to be a story among a lot of teams this year, I guarantee, in next year rather, and in years to come. And then we're going to start seeing more money come in, and we'll be able to pay players more, and it'll be less and less of a semi-pro league and more of a pro league. And then you've got the national component of it. It's fantastic. I mean, you can tell I get pumped about the NBL One East. It already means a lot to me after 4 years. And, as someone who was watching Waratah League for forever and a day, and even before that, the ABA and then the old CBA back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
We all
Central
remember
Coast
that.
Cavaliers. Let's go.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the CBA, the final, if you remember, the grand final of the CBA 1992 was actually televised on Channel 10. So if we can get to that back in the day, so that if we can get, that's kind of the next step, right? From a broadcasting perspective, but we can get there because the talent's amazing, and men and women alike. I mean, the women's comps, unbelievable. You look at there's national team players or people that can represent Australia playing, and will. And so Taya Fagan could be the next Lauren Jackson for all we know. This is the thing. That's what's so exciting about it all.
Yeah, very well put. Very lovely, positive light over the future of the NBL One East as well. But Matt, again, thanks so much for joining us today. We love having you on, talking all things East, and we'll certainly have to catch up with you again soon.
Absolutely, guys. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. And once again, good luck at Nationals. I'll be tuning in, critiquing the hell out of you.
Please, bring it on. Bring it on.
Sure.
We need it.
Why not? Yeah.
I've got notes.
I don't care if you send me a voice memo saying what I need to improve on. Bring it on.
No, not you. You're perfect. Mr. France, on the other hand, I'm kidding.
No, I critique myself enough.
Yeah.
And now, but the next step is to actually work on those critiques.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Matt. We'll talk to you again soon.
See you guys.
See ya.
Wow.
All right. It's been a monster of an episode, Lockie, but we better plug NBL One Nationals one last time for our listeners and our viewers. Just remind us when and where it's happening.
Well, Matt just scooped our news by wishing us good luck at Nationals.
He did. We did kind of say as well to Pete and Nate that hey, we'll see you there, but it wasn't. We may have just been attending as fans, but Matt has outed us.
Yeah, Matt kind of outed us. Yes, so we will be at Canberra for Nationals on the mic, both of us. It will start on Friday, the 29th of August down in Canberra. Games on the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. So Friday through Sunday at Tuggeranong Basketball Stadium down on the south side. I'm sure the Gunners fans will pack it out. I'm sure Illawarra fans will make the trip over the hills and far away down to Canberra. I don't call it the Macquarie Pass Melee for nothing, although I don't know if you'd be allowed to take a fans bus on that road. But nonetheless, looking forward to seeing the Illawarra, the Canberra, and the Manly Warringah fans all there. So it should be absolutely outstanding. We got 5 teams locked in for both at the moment, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
In the men's, it's Canberra, Illawarra, of course, Southern Districts from North, Sandringham from South, West Adelaide from Central. And who is the defending women's national champion? I can't even remember.
That would be the Waverley Falcons.
So it'll be Manly Warringah, Logan from North after they won Game 3 in overtime.
And who called overtime in the game preview? Who called that?
That would be the same person who called Game 3, Squint.
Yes, correct.
And it was 78-76 in overtime, so very close as well. The Knox women who beat the undefeated Geelong by 20 in the grand final. Woodville from Central, with or without Erin Phillips. She did post a retirement post and say 13 out, and I was like, Erin, don't do it to me. And then the Waverley Falcons have the defending champion spot. The West have their grand finals this Saturday. It's Coburn versus Warwick in the women and Geraldton versus Warwick in the men. So we could see 2 Warwick teams there representing the West. So that would be very interesting to see, although I think we'd all like to see Johnny Narkle and Geraldton over in Nationals because he is hooping at the moment, but that'll be decided on Saturday. But yes, if you can't make it down, and you better have a good reason as to why not, please do tune in. It'll be on KO Freebies with Squint and myself bringing you all the action. Hopefully there's a North versus East game that we get put on together because that was very enjoyable when we got to do a game at 2022 Nationals.
Yeah, I'm sure the stars will align where there'll be a North versus East game that we'll do together. But like I said, I'm bilingual in East and North now, so that's pretty handy for me. But yeah, so Lockie and I are very lucky to have been selected to commentate the NBL One Nationals amongst 7 other people from across the country. It is something you have to apply for and get selected for. So being selected as part of the commentary team is always an honor. So we are very much looking forward to it. And that's why we're very, very pumped to be going because it's very competitive. They get 200 plus applicants to commentate the Nationals a year. So for us to be A, selected and B, selected again is the highest of honors for us as commentators. And let's make sure that the NBL One East is hosting. We've got, I'm pretty sure for the first time ever, the hosting city or hosting club has also earned their spot to play. So they're going to be playing in front of their home court. Manly's going to be there. Now Illawarra is going to be there. So we'll have 3 East teams on East home court. Let's pack it out. Let's get there in droves.
Do it. Yeah, 100%. And
take that RDO, come down on the Friday. It is so much fun. It kind of has that air of nostalgia for those that used to play club nationals as kids or country cup or something like that. It has that same air about it. It's super fun. It's certainly kind of a once in a lifetime kind of thing because the East may not host it again. So take the opportunity as it has arisen.
Exactly. And it's more NBL One basketball. Who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want that? Exactly. So yeah, otherwise, that is East Got Game for the regular season. We will hopefully have another couple of special episodes up our sleeve very soon. So keep your eye out for that. But in the meantime,
don't sleep on the East.
Very good. Now I've got to get the banner ready. All right. Peace out, everyone. See you soon.